I want you to meet a boy, 15 years old. He's just made a mistake that cost him a world championship. He drags his own cart back to the paddock. His father insists. Nobody helps him. His father is waiting in the van and says nothing. He tries to explain. Twice. Nothing answers him. Get out! His father drives away. The boy stands there, alone. This is the night that changes everything. He sits down in an empty plastic chair, and for a long time, he doesn't move at all. He thinks about the silence and what it's going to take to never sit in it again. And somewhere in all that thinking, something in him decides, I want to win Formula One. I want to understand these machines better than anyone alive. I will never let anyone leave me behind again. A race car has never once lied to me. He has no idea yet what those 4 promises will cost him. I am Rusty the Gear Guardian. His father was hard on him that night. Harder than most fathers allow themselves to be. Max never called it cruelty. He called it the thing that built him. Somewhere ahead of this boy is a title he wasn't supposed to win yet. A car he will never sell. And a cost he will only ever describe in 4 words. None of it makes sense yet. It will. It is awesome to be one of Max Verstappen's cars. Before we go further, you should know something about me. I can speak with machines, all of them. Every car, every cart, every jet that has ever carried a human being somewhere they needed to go. People cannot see me, not unless I choose to let them. Which means everything you're about to hear, every feeling, every fear, every private word a machine has ever kept to itself, none of it was ever meant for human ears. Consider this a privilege. Max Verstappen was born into this world already halfway inside one of us. His father drove in Formula One for a decade. His mother raced karts hard enough to beat future champions before she was even 20. By the time Max could walk, he had already sat where drivers sit. This is his first kart. His father still keeps it.
I remember the boy's hands before I remember his face. Small, careful. He didn't grip me. He listened to me.
His father had a method. He would change something on this kart, the tire pressure, the gearing, some small mechanical secret, and say nothing. Then he'd send the boy out. And when he came back, he wasn't allowed to guess. He had to feel it and say out loud exactly what had changed. Most children are taught to drive a machine. Max was taught to listen to one.
Every child treats me like a toy at first. This one treated me like a conversation.
By 7, he was already winning. By 9, a national champion in 2 countries. By 11, his father had given up his own career entirely just to stand trackside for his sons. And then came that night at the gas station. The one you already saw. Less than a year later, the same boy who sat alone in that chair became the youngest karting world and European champion the sport had ever produced. One promise. Already keeping itself. But karts are small. Forgiving. Slow enough to argue with. What came for him next would not forgive anything. Let's go meet the first one that mattered. His first Formula One car was called the STR-10. 17 years old. The youngest driver ever to start a Grand Prix.
He did not sit inside me like a passenger. He sat inside me like he already owned every part of me. I had never felt that before. Not from anyone.
The engine failed before the race even finished. Nobody remembers that part. Everyone remembers what came 4 months later. 6th in qualifying. 7th at the flag. The youngest point scorer in the sport's history. 1 year later, Red Bull made a decision that shocked the entire paddock. They pulled their other driver out, and they gave Max this car, the RB12. With almost no warning at all. His very first race in it was the Spanish Grand Prix.
I had never carried a driver into their first race with me and won. Not once in the whole history of this team. And then he did it anyway. Like winning with a stranger's car was simply what he intended all along.
18 years old. Youngest Grand Prix winner in Formula One history. The first Dutchman to ever stand on that top step. After the race, he did something almost nobody expected from an 18-year-old with a paycheck that size. He asked his father's permission before spending it. Then he bought himself a Porsche. Remember that car? We are not finished with it. But winning immediately does not mean a driver has learned anything yet. 2018 nearly broke him. He collided with his own teammate. He clipped a rival again and again until commentators stopped being surprised by it. At one press conference, asked the same question one time too many, he said he might just headbutt someone.
I carried a boy who wanted to win so badly, he sometimes forgot I was breakable. I was patched and repainted and sent back out again and again because he refused to accept that wanting something enough wasn't the same as deserving it yet.
Even in the worst of it, there were small mercies. A lizard once wandered onto the track mid-session, and for exactly one radio exchange, the boy who wanted to headbutt a journalist just sounded like a kid again. Somewhere in the middle of that chaos, something shifted. He stopped trying to win every corner. He started trying to win the race. By the end of that same season in Abu Dhabi, he won again. Clean, controlled. Nothing like the boy from Baku. He was 21 years old, and the machine coming for him next would ask more of him than any of us ever had. Its name was the RRB16B, and it would carry him through the single most brutal season Formula One had produced in a generation. All year he fought a 7-time champion. Wheel to wheel, corner to corner, two men who refused completely to yield. Silverstone put him in a hospital bed. Baku put him in a gravel trap at nearly 200 miles an hour. By the time they reached the final race, they were tied. Exactly. Down to the point.
I felt his hands on my wheel before the lights even went out that night. Ice cold. I had never felt him afraid before. Not once in an entire season of violence. That night, for the first time, I felt him human.
One lap, one overtake, one world champion. He had done it. The very first promise from a plastic chair outside a gas station, kept in full. Later, someone asked him what it cost him to get there. He didn't talk about the crashes. It probably cost the marriage, he said. About his own parents. His sister missed her father. His mother lived a childhood's worth of races alone. A world championship was never paid for in laps. The following year, in a different car, he did it again. A second title, clinched with races still left on the calendar, breaking a scoring record that had stood since Lewis Hamilton set it. One title can be a fairy tale. Two starts to look like a system. 2 years later, Red Bull built something that had never existed before. The RB19. 21 wins out of 22 races. The single most dominant car this sport has ever produced.
Winning stopped feeling like victory somewhere around the 10th race. There was no one left in my mirrors to prove anything to. I had become the answer before anyone else finished asking the question.
Total dominance is a strange kind of silence. This year, that silence ended completely. Formula One rebuilt its rules from the ground up. New engines, new aerodynamics, an entirely different machine. And its own driver, a 4-time world champion, went on record saying it barely felt like Formula One anymore. A bit more like Formula E on steroids, he called it.
For the first time since that plastic chair, one of us made him doubt the promise. I am not the car he understood on sight. I am the car he has to learn, all over again, at 30.
In Melbourne, this car put him in the wall in qualifying. Dead last. By the checkered flag, he had fought all the way back into the points. Fastest lap of the entire race on a car he'd spent the whole weekend criticizing. He did not have to love this machine to make it fly. There is also a clause in his contract now, a door that opens if this car does not start performing soon enough. Whether he walks through it is not something even I can tell you. Not yet. Nobody outside this sport actually knows, and most people inside it don't either.
I don't know if I get to finish becoming what he needs. I only know that every single time a door like this has opened for him before, he has chosen to stay and fight instead. I am hoping that is simply who he is. I am not certain of it anymore.
That, it turns out, was never actually the promise. His father once told him more than once that if he didn't work harder, he'd grow up to drive a bus for a living. He was not wrong about the bus part. He just didn't know his son would end up building the fastest ones in the world instead. This is the car he bought after his very first Red Bull win, 10 years ago. Since then, he has owned Ferraris. Aston's worth millions. A hypercar only 150 people on Earth are allowed to own. He has sold almost every single one of them. This one has never left.
He didn't buy me because I was fast. Plenty of things are fast. He bought me because I was the first thing that was entirely his, and he has never once needed a reason beyond that to keep me.
A race car has never once lied to him, so he has never once lied to one either. Every single machine in this story remembers him the same way, not as a man who owned them, as a man who listened. That's the whole secret. It was never about talent or money or a famous surname. It was a promise made by a 15-year-old, alone, in a plastic chair, outside a gas station in the dark. A promise he has kept to every single machine that has carried him since. It doesn't always look like devotion. Sometimes it looks like a millionaire choosing the smallest, slowest car in Monaco, simply because it's the right machine for a quiet afternoon. He has even started building a team of his own now, a place where other drivers in other machines get taught the same thing he was taught in a workshop as a boy. The promise was never just for him to keep. It was always going to outlive him. No machine's story dies while a gear guardian lives, and no machine that has ever met Max Verstappen forgets what it felt like to be understood. It is awesome to be one of Max Verstappen's cars. Next time. In 1960, a car vanished. Somewhere between Miami and Los Angeles in transit. Insured, accounted for, watched. It never arrived. By then, it had already killed the man who bought it. 9 days was all it took. And some say it didn't stop there. An engine that ended up in someone else's car and someone else's fatal crash. 2 tires sold separately that blew out at the exact same moment on 2 different roads. A body that fell twice onto people who had no reason to be standing underneath it. Officially, none of that has ever been proven. Unofficially, in 60 years, nobody has claimed the $1 million sitting on the table for whoever finds it. But I know exactly where it went. And this wrench is about to show you a place no machine's story has ever had to leave. Welcome to the Mechaniverse.